Hey, welcome back to Enigmatica 2, where in the last video, we went and fought the Chaos Guardian to get some Chaos Shards, which should be basically the last thing I need to get the Draconic Reactor, and pretty much just finish everything. At the end of the last video, I also set these up to be replicated with UU matter. Since then, I have gotten a lot of UU matter, and I should have all of the Chaos Shards I'm going to need. Although having 15 kind of annoys me. I'm going to do one more run just to get that 16th. 15 should be all I need, but I want a 16th just for the hell of it. At least I'm assuming 15 is all I need. 1 for the reactor core, 4 for the stabilizers, and 10 fusion crafting injectors. But I don't really have a way to check because this is still broken. And I really wish it wasn't, because making the reactor can be quite finicky. And it's extremely risky to mess up. But anyway, I'll get to that once I've got all of the materials. Hopefully the quest should at least tell me how much of everything I'm gonna need. But if I remember rightly, it's 1 core, 4 stabilizers, and 1 energy injector. So then, I guess I'll just get into this. And before I can make the reactor, I need the 10 fusion crafting injectors, all of which require a chaotic core, which is quite a doozy to make. But thankfully, the awakened cores shouldn't be that big of a deal, because I've gotten myself 256 Wyvern cores while I waited, because I may as well over-prepare. So, 10 chaotic cores is going to need 40 awakened, so 160 Wyvern. So that's quite a lot. 2.5 stacks. Cool. And on top of this I need 200 awakened draconium ingots, plus an additional 40. So that's almost 4 stacks. Right, well, I guess I just need to make all these awakened cores. I'm also missing the nether stars. That's not a big deal. So, is that not what I need? 5. I only did 4. There we go. And just speed this up. There we go. 40 awakened cores. Now I just do this all over again to get the chaotic cores. And even with the speed boost, this still takes a while. But eventually, I can get all 10 chaotic cores. And I'm likely going to need more of these. Actually, I'm definitely going to need more of these to get the stabilizers. But I'm not going to make them just yet, so I can make sure that I make enough. But now, I should be able to upgrade to chaotic tier crafting injectors. I just need dragon eggs. Interesting. How many dragon hearts do I have? I'd rather not have to go fight, what would that be, 15 more ender dragons? What do I need for dragon egg chunks? Surprisingly not much. I think I can do this. Pretty much all of this I've done before, so don't worry about me skipping past this, it really isn't a big deal. There we go, there's the dragon egg seeds. Then I'll just get myself another garden cloche to fill in this gap, and a dragon egg crux to be able to grow this seed. And that should be all I need to do. So now I'm getting dragon egg essence that I should eventually be able to use to get the dragon eggs. But it might be a few minutes away, but there really isn't much else I can do in the meantime. I guess I can speed this up with the time in a bottle. So there we go, there's 10 dragon eggs that I can then use to get the chaotic tier crafting injectors. There we go. That's now a fully upgraded fusion crafting setup. And now I should be able to get the reactor. It's not telling me the things I need beyond the core. Great. Well then, I guess I'm on my own to find a guide. Okay, I seem to have found a decent guide. Annoyingly, all the images have broken, but at least I've got text to read. And yeah, I was right, I need 4 reactor stabilizers. So I may as well get all of this stuff now. And I need the 1 energy injector. I'm gonna need a few more of these inner rotors. Yeah, I need a lot of things. But it's nothing out of reach. So I'll start with these stabilizers. That seems to be where most of the work is. I need 4 of the frames, 4 of the focus rings, 4 of the rotor assemblies, which themselves need the stabilizer outer rotors, which I'm missing the draconium for. And these inner rotors, I'll just get an additional 5 for the energy injector. But then that's 4 of the rotor assemblies. I'm also going to need more draconic energy cores. So I'm going to need to get myself a lot of Wyvern energy cores, but I can get those fairly easily. And then last, I just need 4 more chaotic cores. So, a lot more of this. So I can do this again. It shouldn't take too much longer. I'm only doing it 4 times instead of 10 after all. There we go. This should be now everything I need to get the reactor stabilizers. So just put everything in place, and yep, that's working. And this isn't nearly as expensive as a chaotic cores. Right. So there's the reactor stabilizers. Next I'll get the energy injector. And this one is a lot easier to make. So there's that. Now I just need the reactor core, which is, again, fairly cheap. Nice. And that's technically everything that I need to make this reactor, but the guide that I've got recommends a few other things, notably these flux gates, because I'm going to need to control the amount of RF I draw from the reactor and the amount that gets put back into it, which will make a bit more sense once I start building it. So I can make 2 flux gates fairly easily, and the guide said to get 2 potentiometers, but I needed 2 to make the flux gate in the first place, so I'm assuming they already have them built in. Possibly? I'm just gonna see what a potentiometer does. I'm gonna get 2 of these just to be safe, because I don't really know how the flux gates work, but presumably with the potentiometer, I can change the redstone going into it. And I guess that affects the range of how much RF per tick goes through? I don't know. I will experiment. So I think I'm ready to build the reactor now? Yes. So then comes the question of where to build it. And I've had the idea for a long time that I just build the reactor in the center of the base, right above the river, so that I've got like a giant Dyson sphere in the center of the base that powers everything. It probably isn't going to be what's powering everything, but I want it to look like it is. So is this the center? Possibly. It feels center-ish. So sure, this is where I'll build it. I want to give it a bit of distance away from the base, but is that too high? I think that's too high. Yeah, I think that's about right. So the core goes in the center, and then 5 blocks away on either side, I need to place the stabilizers, and 5 blocks beneath, I put the energy injector. It's worth noting that it's possible to build the reactor with the stabilizers above and below, as well as either side, and then the injector on one of the open sides, but I prefer the horizontal reactor over the vertical. So with this setup, yes, I can access the reactor, but it's still not in a state where it's terribly usable. So, if I put in these flux gates, I should have an output and an input. I can put the potentiometers on them as well. And then now I need to try and connect the power through. And I'm thinking, because of the sheer amount of power this is going to be producing, if I set it up right, I'm going to want to get these Draconic relay crystals. So I'm going to take a brief detour to do this. So I can make myself some more Wyvern crystals, because I have completely run out. And then I can upgrade them to Draconic. So then I'm just going to place these around, and I'm just going to connect these crystals together for now. Just like that. And this IO crystal is going directly into this other flux gate, just so I can have maximum transfer if need be. So just to make sure, I only have the one output and the one input into the reactor, and they are both controlled by a potentiometer. I'm not sure exactly how much I should be inputting or outputting right now. I don't know if this will give me a projection of how much power it's going to make. Likely not. Hold on. I'm going to finish creating the energy network before I get too ahead of myself. Okay, I think I've got a connection here. I've swapped out the IO crystals around the energy core to be Draconic tier, and I've also connected them in this way. So it all connects into this relay crystal, which can also connect into here. So then all the power should come straight out of here into the energy core, and then back into the flux gate if need be. And then I also have this connecting directly into the flux gate. So then all power sources should be able to input and output from the reactor. I hope. So I guess now I need to fuel this. And it takes awakened draconium as fuel. And what exactly can I put in as fuel? As long as this is offline, and as long as I don't turn it on, I can put in as much fuel as I need to, and I'll be fine. I'm a little worried about this chaos. I'll get onto that in a little bit. Can this take nuggets for fuel? It automatically converts them. Same with ingots. Yep. And I can also take out. Is there any harm in keeping it completely fueled? Okay, it can't have more than 8 blocks. And also, as I put in more fuel, it makes the center bigger. I think now would be the time to make a backup. Just in case this goes wrong. Well, I guess if I've got the backup, I can press charge. It's warming up. I should need to tell it to turn on. Ah, right, I'm not currently inputting any power. On high redstone signal, I want to say 1 million. On low, I guess, 0, so I can switch between nothing to 1 million. So now, okay, it's powering it. Right. First it'll build up the containment field. That's this thing going on. I think I can input a little bit more power. Then it starts building the energy saturation. I'll give it some more power. And then once the energy saturation is full, it starts heating up the core temperature. And now it can be activated. But before I do that, I should read how I keep this thing stable. Okay, I have a backup if things go wrong. I've read what I need to. I just can't see where the things are just yet. So, activate. The conversion rate's going down, that's a good thing. The saturation's going up. That's also a bit of a good thing. Temperature is stable. The containment field is strengthening. And the fuel conversion is pretty close to 0. This should be the most stable state. Ideally, I want 0 fuel conversion rate. That means it's perfectly balanced. And I'm currently generating a lot, but that's because the energy saturation is full. The higher the energy saturation, the less efficient the generation is, but it also makes the reactor a bit more stable, because the lower the saturation goes, the faster it starts generating to keep up. And if it hits 0, then it tries to create infinite RF per tick, which then means it draws infinite fuel, which means it just explodes. So, the higher the energy saturation, the more stable, and the more I should be able to draw out of here. So if I start drawing more than I'm inputting, it's fine. And I can basically just continuously extract as much as I need, but if I do it too much, the reactor's gonna explode. So, I can start extracting a bit more, and now the fuel conversion rate is going up. The containment field strength is going down. So is the core temperature. If the core temperature goes below 2000, then it just kind of stops working. I think I need to be inputting a bit more power. 400,000 RF per tick is more than what it's asking me to put in. Although the amount that it requires is increasing. It seems to have found it's settled in, because it's generating RF at almost exactly the rate that I'm extracting, and I don't think that's a coincidence. So I'm gonna increase my extraction a bit more, but now I have to input more power. What I'm unsure about is how do I get the fuel conversion rate to decrease? According to the guide I've got, the longer this stays running, it should stabilize even further. Once the generation rate and the input rate settle down, then everything else should slowly reach a steady medium, and it shouldn't need as much fuel to maintain the reaction. And then the fuel conversion level should stop increasing. Although at this point I have a lot of time before the fuel conversion level reaches a critical point. But also, because I put so much fuel in here, If this goes off, nothing is surviving. Like, to give you a rough estimate, if this detonates, everything I'm looking at now will be gone. Like, this very likely could create an explosion large enough to hit bedrock. So I do not want this to detonate. But as it stands, everything's good. Well, I think this is stable? Whoa. Whoa, what's happening? Suddenly everything is decreasing a lot, as well as the fuel conversion rate. What's going on? The generation rate is only barely more than the field input rate. Hang on. I'm going to increase this potentiometer. I guess I can also increase this one. Probably by a decent amount. What if I take it to the max? Full million RF per tick being extracted. Because I need to keep up with this field input rate. I think I'm fine. I would like to see more generation rate than field input rate. But as long as I've got these solar panels, I should be fine on power. Yeah, storage is full. Maybe that's why the generation rate is so low, because I'm not actually storing the power anywhere. Well then, this seems to be stable, so I can probably leave this be. I just need to check back much later to make sure the fuel conversion level doesn't get too high, and if it does, that's when I can shut it down and take out the chaos. I think so. I don't know. I never really needed this to be a generator for me, because the solar panels just provide way too much. I basically just wanted this to be an aesthetic thing. So if it's stable, that's all I need it to be. So now I'm just gonna connect some of these cables around. Even if they don't actually connect to anything, I just want some aesthetic lines flying around to look like this is powering things. Because technically it is. It's just most of the power is coming from the solar panels. Okay, I've connected a lot of these lines around, but I don't think they're gonna do anything. I might need to try and trick it a bit more. There we go, now I've got some more lines going around. All I've done is just connected the relays to each other, so they're just constantly spreading power around. Ah, but the lines have disappeared. It's fine for now. They should all appear again when I actually start using power. So, I think there's one more thing that I want to do. I want to try and build around this to make it look like a Dyson sphere, and not like this reactor. And I have a bit of a design in mind. I might have to wing it a bit, but let's see. Although the problem I'm having, I don't know if any blocks can go within the range of the stabilizers, and I'd rather not risk it. So instead, I think I'll center it around these relay crystals. So surrounding the reactor, I'm gonna have a giant ring, and then that ring is gonna be made of, well, it's less of a ring, it's a torus made out of glass panes to kind of look like small mirrors surrounding the central star. I'm not sure how large I can make this, but given the area with the reactor stabilizers, probably not that big. So it's probably worth making this ring bigger. Yeah, I think just going one block larger has given me a bit more space. I'm not sure how I feel about the shape of this ring. But that's what you get when you freehand a circle. I'm reasonably satisfied with this either way. So now I need to make the torus, and it's not terribly easy to do. If I'm able to go in line with the stabilizers like that, that would make things a bit better. Yeah, I'm gonna try that. Although, I've had an idea. It would make it a lot harder to build, but I could slant this. Not by too much, but just enough to be noticeably on a slant. Yeah, something like that. Again, it looks a bit jank, but that's what you get when you freehand it. Now I need to build this out. Okay, here's a small section, and I'm basically going to try and extend out the torus all the way around, trying to maintain the height of this guide ring that I've got. Okay, I've now spent about 30 minutes placing these panes, and I've done one corner, and I honestly have no idea what I'm doing. This is so jank to try and deal with glass panes, and so annoying to try and maintain the curve and the slant at the same time. I think I've got this. I don't know if the illusion is worth it. I don't even know if the illusion is working. Maybe I shouldn't have used glass panes. Maybe I should have used something a bit more solid. If it wasn't for the fact that HDPE is really expensive to try and make for this purpose, plastic barriers could be really good. But I think my best option is still just glass. So then what can I do to try and fix this? What I was going to do once I was done here was kind of remove all of these in a checkerboard pattern so that everything is left just as these single strands. But those strands just do not read. When I go further away, those strands basically disappear. The only thing that's at all noticeable is these big blocks. So maybe I just need to fill this out a bit more. Okay, if I connect all of these, I think that scans a lot better. Yeah. Hang on, I just need to finish the inside of the curve. That hasn't really changed the overall image all that much, but it's still just a little bit cleaner. But I'm starting to wonder if it's even worth doing this with glass panes, because from the top this looks terrible. From the side it's okay, but I think I want to try rebuilding this with blocks instead of panes. Because if I'm already filling it in, it just might look a bit nicer. Because I thought what I wanted was this sort of look, but I realize I like this look better, and blocks are just going to do that better than panes. So I guess I'm tearing all of this down. And just building up a sample here. This doesn't quite give the same illusion that I want, but it's a better illusion than what the panes are doing. So I'm going to stick with this. And you know what? As much as I want to keep this slant alive because I think it'll look really cool, I think I'm just going to have to abandon it because it's too complicated to try and maintain this. Okay, I've got one corner in place now, and I think this looks a lot better than the panes did. It doesn't look quite so spherical, but it's mostly fine. I'm reasonably happy with this still. So then, I guess I'm gonna be continuing this all the way around. Might take a little while, but I think I can manage. Okay, there we go. I filled in the whole ring. It does look a little bit diagonal. I don't know how much of that is just because of the scale, and how much is because I was building it freehand, but it reads well enough. I'm just gonna get rid of all of the cobblestone on the inside. And now, that looks pretty cool. I'm not sure how I feel about the fact that the reactor is visible through the glass, regardless of the depth. It makes it a lot more obvious what's there, but I'm okay with this. So then, this took quite a while to do. I just want to check. This is still completely fine. Energy saturation is stable, containment field is stable, temperature is stable, and I've only consumed 2% of my fuel. I think I'm fine. Well then, is that it for my base? It very well could be. I've got the big Dyson sphere in the center powering everything. I would have liked to have the reactor be a bit larger, or maybe have the sphere be a bit closer inside, but I don't want to risk that. This seems manageable. So I'm just gonna leave this alone. So, I think that's it. We've got the reactor. It's been decorated. Not quite the same as what I was envisioning, but this is about as close as I can get it to be, without it just starting to look even more jank. And that means then, that now, I've finished Draconic Evolution, which was the last mod that I was gonna do in this entire pack. This is when most people would move on to bragging rights, but I do not care about anything in this chapter. Making the ultimate table was enough of a challenge for me. I don't want to think about some of the stuff inside of here. This just feels like way too much effort. There was a time when I humored a lot of this and thought of some things that I might have been able to do. For example, it's pretty obvious you get the creative vending upgrade first, and then just use that to get infinity ingots and whatever else you're gonna need. But there's still so much that needs to be done. I need loads more ultimate ingots. I need loads more ultimate singularities. I need to get infinity ingots with infinity catalysts, and god, it just seems like more work than it's worth. And I do not care about doing that. I will just get way too frustrated and lose motivation before I even get it. So bragging rights is not for me. I am pretty happy to be done with just the Draconic Reactor. And I can't think of much better of a trophy item outside of any of the bragging rights things. But even still, in bragging rights, there isn't any one particular trophy item I can think of. The reactor is just the one thing. And it's done. So I've now completed everything that I intended on doing in this pack. So I think there's a few more things that I want to do to round this out. Namely, the usual thing, opening a bunch of crates. And as per usual, I didn't get much. And then I also want to check some of my statistics. Namely, time played being 28.69 days, which comes out to almost 700 hours. I highly doubt all of that was actually played. I've spent quite a long time AFK. I guess maybe 10 days were AFK? But that still leaves me with almost 500 hours of active play. And that sounds about right to me. So, it's fair to say that I've played this a lot. And I can guarantee that to do the bragging rights stuff is going to be another probably 100 or so hours, either being spent just brute forcing all of the items, or making infrastructure to get the items more easily. Either way, I don't want to spend another 100 hours. I'm about done. I'm ready to go on to another pack. So then, leave a suggestion in the comments for what you want to see me do next. Preferably not another 1.12 pack. I'd like to go to a more modern version of Minecraft, please. I've been missing a lot of the quality of life stuff. I have a few things on my list, but I'll see if there's any particular recommendations that come up a lot, and I'll see where I'm going next. But for now, I don't think I have anything else to say, so I'm going to call the series here. Bye.